At my own brother's retirement ceremony, security stopped me cold. "Ma'am, your name is not authorized for entry." My brother, Brendan, smirked at his old colonel. "Don't worry about her. My sister is just an unclassified pencil pusher. She belongs at a desk, not a base." He had no idea the data on my desk had just averted a crisis that saved every ship in his fleet. He had no idea the truth of my secret rank was about to crush his lifelong sense of superiority and save his own life in the process. My name is Victoria Vance. I am 38 years old, and on this crisp morning in September, the intense sunlight felt like a spotlight on the final, devastating act of a long-running family drama. It came in on the cool, damp air as I drove my car onto the massive military causeway leading to Norfolk Naval Station, the atmosphere thick with the smell of the sea and the distant, throbbing roar of jets. A colossal place of steel and monumental duty, steeped in the kind of combat history my family venerated and that I was consistently excluded from. I found a distant, dusty parking spot and watched them, the proud, uniformed families of career officers, their postures radiating success and belonging. My younger brother, Brendan, decorated commander who had just completed a successful frontline career, was the hero of the hour. A quiet, familiar twist of complicated resentment tightened in my chest. I knew my role today. It was the familiar, uncomfortable, and highly scripted part of the supportive, successful but unimportant older sister, the one whose career path was always deemed too safe, too quiet, and too civilian in comparison to the glorious danger he chased. Taking a slow, deep, stabilizing breath, I steeled myself to once again play the part of the sister with the negligible job. I wore a simple navy blazer, deliberately chosen to conceal the crisp, high-ranking uniform beneath it, hiding the 4 stars of Rear Admiral that rested on my shoulders. At the main security checkpoint, a young master-at-arms, his jaw set with the seriousness of his post, took my ID. He was all rigid protocol until his eyes scanned the digital guest manifest for Commander Brendan Vance's massive retirement reception. He looked up, a sharp, confused frown spreading across his features. "Ma'am, I deeply apologize," he said, his voice polite but firm, trained to be unwavering. "I do not have a Victoria Vance on the approved manifest for the retirement party." He turned the screen toward me, showing the proof of the exclusion. The list was short, curated, and exclusive. Rear Admiral retired Walter Vance, Mrs. Carol Vance, and Mrs. Stephanie Vance, Brendan's wife. The absence of my own name was not a clerical oversight. This was a deliberate, calculated act of familial exclusion and public dismissal. At that exact moment, the stately black Lincoln my father drove glided to a stop beside the checkpoint. The door opened, and Brendan emerged looking every inch the victorious warfighter in his immaculate dress whites, the uniform reflecting a bright morning sun. He saw me stalled at the gate, saw the guard's conflicted stance, and a slow, cruel smile, the kind that only a lifelong rival can truly savor, curved his lips. Instead of a simple word to vouch for his own sister, he paused, leaned toward his old commanding colonel, and said loud enough for me and the guard to hear every word. "It's probably just a mistake with the seating chart. She works at the Pentagon, you know. Nothing classified. Just a desk job. She doesn't belong up front with the real command." The casual malice of his words was breathtaking. My mother, Carol, immediately busied herself smoothing the lapel of my father's uniform, her hands fluttering in a dramatic display of avoidance. My father, Rear Admiral retired Walter Vance, simply scowled, his face a mask of deep, impatient annoyance, not for the insult to me, but for the public scene his daughter was creating. They didn't even look back. They simply walked through the gate, leaving me to be dealt with as if I were nothing more than improperly labeled cargo. A hot, internal wave of shame and white-hot fury washed over my face. Brendan's dismissal was a slap, but my parents' silence was the true final poison. It was complicity. It was the final quiet confirmation of a lifetime of being told my contributions were irrelevant. The young master at arms, caught in this appalling family drama, shifted his weight uncomfortably. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to move your vehicle and step aside." I stood utterly still, my posture rigid, my spine transformed from a rod of ice into a column of cold, unyielding steel. I simply watched them disappear into the massive hangar complex that had been built for people like them, not for people like me. In that profound moment of public family abandonment, the lifetime of slights didn't just hurt, they crystallized into a single, terrifying resolve. A decision formed in my mind as hard and sharp as a diamond cutting tool. I will show them exactly what a desk job can do. A dangerous calm settled over me. The storm inside me went still. Its chaotic energy consolidated into one point of focus. I would not give them the satisfaction of a tear. The silence at the gate became a gateway to a history of being the unchosen child. The sting of Brendan's words unlocked years of past wounds. When I graduated top of the class from college with a degree in strategic intelligence, my father gave me a modest gift certificate. When Brendan graduated 2 years later with his pilot wings, my father bought him a classic Corvette. When I told them I was joining the Navy in the Information Warfare Command, my father was blunt. "That's glorified paperwork, Victoria. We need warriors, not librarians. The Vance name means command." My mother had merely said, "Be safe, dear. Your brother's career is dangerous enough for the family." They never saw my work as vital. They imagined me staring at spreadsheets in a forgotten cubicle. They have no concept of my actual office, the windowless, deep, underground National Cyber Defense Center. The air is cold, the light is harsh, and the only sound is the frantic, critical tapping of analysts trying to hold back a digital flood. My job title, Director of Strategic Cyber Contingency, sounds academic, but what it means is that when a foreign power tries to take down the entire U.S. Navy's digital infrastructure, they come to me. I am the one who builds the invisible firewall. I remember a critical Tuesday night when I commanded a rapid response team against a massive state-sponsored attack designed to cripple the Pacific Fleet's navigational systems. The screens were red and the air was thick with fear. I had to deploy the Black Flag countermeasure to save the Pacific Fleet's navigational systems. I was standing rigid, focused on the attack signature. At that precise moment, my personal phone, strictly forbidden in the secure area, vibrated with a text from Brendan. The casual arrogance of his world cut through the life and death stakes of mine. "Hey sis, my new boat's trailer not a flat. Any chance you could use your government connections to find me a cheap tow? LOL. Just another day in the Navy." I stared at the screen, a wave of cold, professional anger washing over me. He was worried about a flat tire, while the entire Pacific Fleet was riding blind, its fate resting on my next keystroke. I powered down the phone and slammed it back into my pocket. Within 15 minutes, the threat was neutralized. The entire Pacific Fleet was saved from a catastrophic systems failure. I had won a war, and my family thought I was worried about traffic.
The solitude of my power was broken 2 days later when I was summoned by Admiral Sterling, the 4-star head of Naval Information Warfare. "Victoria," he said, his voice quiet as he offered me a seat. "The black flag maneuver you ran Tuesday night was flawless. You saved every carrier, every vessel, and every life in the Pacific Fleet. You averted an act of war. The Secretary of the Navy knows, I know." His acknowledgement felt heavier than any medal. He then smiled. "The Joint Chiefs have reviewed your career. The Department of the Navy has approved a special transfer and a promotion, effective immediately. You've earned it." I was numb with shock. The Distinguished Service Medal, the promotion to Rear Admiral. He then leaned in, a mischievous glint in his eye. "And this brings me to your family situation. I heard your brother is retiring next week. It would be a damn shame to let a family of career sailors miss this announcement." I understood. This was the moment. My truth would not be delivered by my own desperate defense, but by the undeniable, unassailable authority of the United States Navy. Just as the guard was about to escort me away from the gate, a sleek armored car, one reserved only for flag officers, pulled up right behind the security post. The door opened, and Admiral Sterling stepped out. He was in his full dress uniform, his 4 stars blazing. He walked past the flustered guard and walked straight toward me. "There you are, Admiral Hayes," he announced, his voice carrying with an authority that silenced the distant bass noise. "We are running late for the ceremony. The Secretary of Defense is expecting you in the VIP box." Admiral Hayes. The master-at-arms guarding the gate instantly went bone white. He snapped into a salute so frantic it looked like a seizure. He threw the gate open with desperate speed. Admiral Sterling placed a guiding hand on my elbow. "Are you all right, Admiral Hayes? Do I need to address your family?" I looked past him to my father, mother, and brother. They were staring, utterly paralyzed. Brendan's jaw had literally dropped. My father's face was a mask of utter disbelief. If you have ever had a moment where your success was so undeniable, it physically silenced your critics, type the single word that describes how that felt to you in the comments below. And please subscribe to the Revenge Dose channel and let us know where in the world you're watching from. I gave Admiral Sterling a single, quiet shake of my head. My voice was calm and final. "That won't be necessary, Admiral. Thank you. They'll know the truth soon enough." "As you wish, Admiral Hayes." He escorted me through the gate. Our path took us directly past my family, who sat stunned in the front row of the ceremony. I kept my chin high, my eyes fixed on the immense American flag at the podium. I did not look at them, but I felt their gaze like an intense physical heat. As we passed, I heard it, a choked, barely audible whisper from my father to my brother. "Admiral." That one word, spoken by the man who called my life's work glorified paperwork, was the final, total victory. I wasn't just on the list. I was the guest of honor, and the only people who missed the memo were the ones who had spent 20 years trying to keep me invisible. The unclassified pencil pusher with the boring desk job had just been recognized as an admiral for saving the fleet.